sometimes we have trouble being motivated to compromise, right? But if you're acting to compromise out of love, because you love this person and you want to get along and you want the relationship to work and you love them and you want them to be happy and you know they compromise with you to meet your needs, that's compromising out of joy and love. So we have to really be clear, I think, on our actions, what the motivation is, where it's coming from us. Is this action out of love, and is it fulfilling to me to do this, and is it because it's important to me? In today's busy world, how can we find the inspiration, knowledge, and energy to live a healthy and empowered life? If we balance and harmonize our mind, exercise our body, live according to the laws of nature, and connect to spirit, can we find a way to heal, become our authentic self, and live our purpose with love? I am your hostess, Amy Fournier, and welcome back to Awakening Aphrodite. Welcome back to Awakening Aphrodite. The show is about helping you to be healthy and fit in mind, body, and spirit, as well as harmonize your masculine and feminine energy, tap into your intuition, your true source of power, and awaken your authentic self. Today is a Fast Friday. They come out every other week. They're a little bonus episode about various things that I come across in my travels that I want to share with you to help give you a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of extra motivation, a little bit of support, and maybe even learn a few interesting, helpful things. Today is the second part of a series that I'm doing on a book from Marisa Peer called Ultimate Confidence: The Secrets to Feeling Great About Yourself Every Day. Yeah, sign me up. I love it. All right, so again, this is a series. You might want to check out the other episodes of Fast Fridays that I did from this book, and confidence and whatnot. Really interesting, practical stuff. Today, I've got 10 things that threaten relationships. Oh boy. Our girl Aphrodite is all about relationships because she's the goddess of love and basically relations, both with yourself and with others. Oh yes, the area of the heart, the principle of love. Ooh, giving and receiving love unconditionally. Jeez, it's a bitch, isn't it? Oh yeah, well, okay, here we go. So let's get some help from an expert, Marisa Peer. 10 things that threaten relationships. Below are the 10 most common things that threaten and damage our relationships. By avoiding doing them, you will have better relationships, which in turn will make you feel better and more confident about yourself. Here we go. Number 1, stop stonewalling. Stonewalling means when one partner refuses to discuss issues or refuses to respond to complaints or requests and says things like, I won't discuss it. I'm not talking about it. Get over it. Whatever. I don't care. I'm just not interested. That's too bad. Talk to the hand because I'm not listening. Blah, blah, blah. Stonewalling is failing to pay attention to our partner. We all need to be heard. Our greatest fear is being rejected. So don't reject someone by refusing to listen to them. You can listen without having to respond, or you can say, I can listen to you, but I need some time to respond. Or you can say, can we discuss this tonight over dinner, as I can't give you my attention and what you need right now. Make an effort to avoid missing the feelings and needs of others. Even if what they're saying is annoying or unimportant to you, it's incredibly important to show others that you're taking on board whatever they're saying to you. So this reminds me of a very important, very popular episode on Awakening Aphrodite you might want to check out on how to communicate with others, on nonviolent communication. We'll have that in the show notes. That's with my amazing guest, Waylon Myers. And again, that episode will be in the show notes to link to. And if you want, you can just, in Apple iTunes or wherever you're listening to the podcast, just put in the search bar, Awakening Aphrodite, Amy Fournier, Nonviolent Communication, Waylon Myers, whatever. You can always do that, by the way, if ever you're looking for episodes and you don't remember what number they are. We try to give you the numbers just to make it easy for you. Again, super popular episode. Check that out. Okay, tip number 2, avoiding contempt, scorn, mockery, superiority. Ooh, Yeah, contempt is the killer. It's just the number one thing. Every time I read anything about relationships, it's always like contempt is like the kiss of death if any partner feels that way. Contempt and mockery are two of the most destructive elements in a relationship and among the hardest things to recover from, as they're so personal. Verbal contempt and mockery are the worst, but mocking and being superior with body language is also very damaging. Things such as rolling your eyes, grimacing, or sighing deeply when your partner or relative tells a joke. If we believe in the idea that our confidence is affected by the way others treat us, it's just as important to work on the way we treat others. One of the quickest ways to raise your own self-esteem is to raise the esteem of others. Yeah, and that reminds me of, the boomerang theory, right? What you give out, you get back, and what you want to receive, you need to give. So something to consider, how you're feeling and treating someone else, or is that making it bounce back and somehow hit you? Tip number 3 on things that threaten relationships. Don't do destructive criticism. So obviously kind of related to tip 2. Criticize your child or partner's behavior, not your partner themselves. Oh, such a key point. Like what they did might be wrong or not a good thing for you, but they are not wrong. They are not a bad person. Okay, so there's a difference between the person and the behavior. That's critical. It helps to remember we are not our behavior. A good person does bad things sometimes, and a smart person does stupid things sometimes. Destructive criticism is saying things like, "You're so stupid to forget to bring the map. I can't believe how dumb you were not to call first. You idiot, you have got lost and went the wrong direction. You didn't pay the bill on time. You're useless." God, these are so mean. "You've not left enough time to do this yet. You loser. You left the oven on all day, airhead." Ouch. So instead, criticize only the act, not the person. This is just so key. I think this might be my favorite one. So you can say things like, "You didn't pay the bill on time. We needed the map to get there. You agreed to call ahead first. When you left the oven on, it could have caused a fire." Okay, so that's really interesting. She reframed those to talk about the behavior the person did rather than label the person themselves with a value statement. Okay, so back to the book. I taught my daughter about this when she was small. I would tell her she was a good girl but did naughty things rather than she was bad or stupid. If I asked her why she spilt juice all over the floor, she would reply, "Because I'm naughty." And I said, "No, you're a good girl, but you did something naughty." "Why? Why did you do it?" Then she would say, "Well, I wasn't looking while I was walking with the juice." So she learned something without it affecting her self-esteem or her self-image. So it was a constructive criticism, not a destructive one. I knew it was working when I was late to collect her from school, and her teacher said, "I have just been put in my place by your 5-year-old daughter." I said to her, "Your mother is hopeless." She replied, "My mommy is not hopeless. She's just late." You have every right to criticize behavior and to tell your partner how you feel when you're late, forgetful, or unkind, but don't call them names. Constructive criticism helps development, and destructive criticism withers people's spirit, whereas praise helps them to grow and is a fantastic confidence booster. When your children do something unwanted, it's much better to say, "This isn't you. It's not like you to be like this. What's going on?" Rather than say, "Why are you such a horrible bully to your sister?" Don't feel like you have to be a saint and get this right all the time. I never have, and I teach this, but even doing this half the time will improve your relationship and your confidence, as well as the self-esteem of the people you love. Remember, superior people praise, inferior people criticize all the time. So notice that with anybody in your life or your world, for that matter. People who are overly critical always have the most criticism for themselves. True. and reflect it out to everyone else in order to elevate themselves and diminish others. It's also very important to remember that you have a relationship with yourself, so don't use destructive and negative criticism on yourself along the lines of things like, I always mess this up. I never get things right. I'm so stupid, hopeless, useless, idiot, etc. Ooh, yeah, this is critical. Okay, tip number 4, steering clear of hitting below the belt. This is when you use a partner or loved one's weaknesses, illnesses, infertility, disability, lower income or status, or their past to win an argument or score points to make them feel inferior to you. Saying things like, well, no one in my family is divorced. You are the one who's too old to have children. We can never make plans because of your migraines. I put more money into our home than you do. It's your family that have caused this mess. These things are verbally attacking the other. Hitting below the belt affects the confidence and the security of the person you're attacking. I have worked with so many families who have a mix of children, her children, his children, their children. They seem to have the greatest problems when they view the children as yours, mine, and ours. When they can see all the children as our children and all the relatives as our family, of our relatives, it makes them unified and united instead of divided. Wow, that's so key. All right, tip 5, avoiding defensiveness. This is when someone does not take responsibility for their actions, but instead says, it was your fault, you made me do it. Responsibility literally means the ability to respond. If you can't say, yes, I handled that really badly and I'm sorry, then you can't expect anyone else to say it either. We like people who have the courage and the confidence to say, I was wrong, because we recognize it takes courage and confidence to do that. It really does. It takes a lot of self-esteem, that's for sure. So if someone says, I was wrong, they go up in my estimation, and probably yours too. Whereas people who will never accept they were wrong tend to be alone, as they are very much hard to live with. That's true. Actually reminds me of somebody I used to work with that she was very smart, very, very capable, very on top of things, amazing, did a gazillion things, a great worker, a great employee. But geez, she was just never wrong. She would just defend things to the death, even when it was clear and you could tell. She would like start sweating and stuff like, and it's like, it's not a big deal. You can just say, oops, I made a boo-boo, it's okay. Okay, so you will set a great example for the people you interact with when you do this. So don't say things like, you made me do it. You drove me to it. It's your fault. You caused this to happen, etc. And remember, no one can make you do or feel anything unless you let them. It's like that famous quote by, wasn't it Eleanor Roosevelt? No one can make you feel anything without giving them your permission to do so. Okay, tip number 6, stopping references to the past and to past wrongdoings. Oh, I know someone who does this all the time. Hopefully they're listening. We can never undo the past, and constantly referring to it is counterproductive and leaves the person who was in the wrong still in the wrong years later. So the relationship is out of balance with the wronged and the wrongdoer still playing out old parts. For the person who was wronged, they believe they got a lot of mileage from being right. In order to be right, someone else always has to be wrong. Interesting point. It is much more important to do the right thing than to be right. It's more important to be kind than to be right. Interestingly, studies have shown that when a person who commits suicide leaves a note, they frequently mention being made wrong and how hard it is to live with that. Ooh. People who are always right often end up alone because they cannot compromise. So it's a habit of behavior we all need to avoid, even if we've been badly wronged by someone. Most of us hate to be made wrong, and you do not need to make your partner wrong in order to resolve an argument. Talk without going over the past. Remember, you're having an argument, not a history lesson. If a partner has had an affair, the other partner must feel that they're allowed to talk through it and to get answers, but not indefinitely. What I find works is to allow the other partner a time period, decided by both partners, when questions will be asked and answered. The issue will be dealt with, and then a cutoff point will come when the issue is put away. My partner once said to me, "You know, you and I are going to find something new to fight about because this issue is becoming closed and we don't need to discuss it anymore." It was good advice. It was not stonewalling. We had discussed the issue and it was time to close it and move on. The key is to close it down effectively and by mutual agreement. To be happy and have inner peace, we must be able to forgive the past, live in the present, and feel excited about the future. Amen, sister. You can't live in the moment if your partner and your arguments are history lessons about the past. If you find it hard to do this, go back to step 2 and do the exercises designed to allow you to let go and move on. You can say all the things you need to say, even if the person is not in the room. You can't forgive the past and move on until you can let go of old hurts and resentments. Ooh, that's hard to do, Marisa, but it's necessary for peace and happiness and intimacy, I will add. It is essential to express hurt. One of the keys to having emotional well-being and inner peace is being able to express our hurt as close as possible to when the hurt occurred. One of the ways madness is defined is the length of time it takes unbalanced people to express their hurt. Ooh. If you keep going over an old argument, you may have never really expressed your hurt. So do it properly. Say, "I was hurt by XYZ, and I was hurt when XYZ." You can move on. Use the exercises in step 2 to make sure you do this fully in a way that works. Another definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again while expecting a different result. That's true. You've probably heard that one. If you do what you have always done, you get what you've always got. If you want a different relationship, you have to do things differently. To have a healthy relationship, each partner must have the self-confidence and awareness that they are allowed to express their hurt and to discuss the situation. But there absolutely must be a cutoff point where the issue is dealt with and put away, left behind, so the relationship can move on. This is so key. Both partners must agree to this. Don't make your argument a history lesson and stay in the present all the time. 2 little reminders. You're arguing to resolve an issue, not to get even or get revenge or even to win. Remember, for you to win, the other person has to lose. So we don't want that feeling. Tip number 7, understanding the damage from threatening to leave, ending the relationship. Oh boy, boy, these are all really hitting home for me. I did that too. I remember this in a relationship. Okay, would you threaten to leave your children when they annoy you? Security is a need, and in relationship, we need to feel secure. Hell, in life, we need to feel secure. The most secure relationships are those where the partners agree they're staying together and working it out, not threatening to leave. The minute you threaten to leave, you devalue the relationship. You have a negative effect on the other person's confidence, and if you threaten to leave often, it will have no power anyway, which will lessen the confidence. You know, it's the old crying wolf thing, right? I've worked with so many clients deeply damaged as children because one parent would threaten to leave when things got tough. Sometimes they even went through a ritual of putting on their coat, picking up a bag and walking off, leaving deeply traumatized children behind who had no idea it was an act designed to make the other partner shape up. It never works. The more you threaten to leave, the less secure a relationship and your partner will be. And if you or your partner are insecure, your relationship will be less happy because you cannot be confident while insecure, that's for sure. You will grow in confidence and inner security when you know you can work things out. Many people who do leave relationships when they hit a difficult patch just go through the same situation with the next partner, and they never really learn the invaluable skill of sticking with someone through a rocky patch and growing a really stable, secure, loving relationship. Wow. Tip number 8, avoiding the wrong roles in relationships. Many couples descend into a parent-child relationship where one partner is the critical, bossy, nagging, or controlling, punishing parent, and the other is a child who is always wrong, always in trouble, always expected to improve, to come up to scratch, and to stop disappointing the other. Knowing your partner is frequently disappointed in you, or by you, or with you is demoralizing, eats away at your confidence, and causes sex to end. We can't have sex with someone who reminds us of our parent. True. And I'll add, we can't have sex and then lose all that hot chemistry and passion if we think of the partner as like a child. That's for sure. But I digress. We can't have sex with someone who reminds us of our parent. Okay, nature turns off our sex drive in this case as it feels so wrong and sexuous and unnatural. True. Many couples lose their intimacy and desire when they have children. They can't become so consumed with being good parents that they lose themselves. If we start to see our partner as a parent rather than a partner, we don't feel the same physical attraction. Men can never have sex with mommy, and women make a huge mistake when they mother their partners in a caring or nagging way, as it destroys intimacy. Women quickly lose physical attraction for a partner who becomes like a father figure by being controlling, dominant, withholding, and always right. Unhappy couples focus on the negative rather than the positive. Don't focus on what you don't like about each other, because whatever you focus on and you feel, you will get more of. Remembering why you fell in love and what you fell in love with and how you used to feel is more effective at reactivating those feelings. Talk with each other about why you got married, what you liked, admired, and loved about the other person. To stay in love, you must engage in things like holding hands, touching, deep listening, stroking, shared humor, warm voice, appreciation. Within a year of marriage, saying, "I love you," actually drops 44%. That's just in 1 year. Oh, how sad. Compliments and approval drop by 30%. Doing something nice for your partner drops by 28%. And shared physical affection, what do you think? Drops by 39%. Wow, that's only a year. You're still in the honeymoon period, for God's sake. That's no bueno. Now that you could see these figures, you can make sure your percentage goes up, not down. If we're not part of the solution, then we're part of the problem. And I'll tell you, that's how it is in everything in life, right? Instead of focusing on the problem, focus on how to fix it. Again, another generalized principle we can use for everything. Focus on the how to fix it. Think of 5 new things you can do to improve your relationship. This immediately moves you forward. A common relationship mistake is to wait for the other person to do what you want and to give you what you want before you respond to them. A successful relationship involves each partner giving 100%. Give what you want most to get back, and don't wait for your partner to do the same before you begin. True. Just do it. Be the one who initiates it, and remember, whatever it is you're craving is what you have to give out. That's just karma. That's the law of giving and receiving. And if you don't get it back after a lot of trial and error, I don't know. My advice would be, maybe you want to reconsider your pairing. If you give your partner what you know they need the most, it makes it easier for them to do the same for you. The number one issue couples have trouble over is money, even when they are very rich. The number 2 issue is the division of household chores. Couples fight over money even when they're very rich and have no money worries, with arguments over the division of chores only being faithful and a good sex life score higher than sharing chores on a list of things that make a relationship happy. Wow. Okay, so let's just meditate on that for a second. Being faithful and having a good sex life are tops, followed by division of chores. That's amazing. Research shows that women usually take on about 2/3 of the household chores, while men usually do more external work like the garden, car washing, taking care of the bins, yard work, etc. Yeah. The process of dividing the chores is based on your tolerance for mess and untidiness. True, right? Often it's just like, oh, hell, I'll just clean it up because it's driving me nuts that you leave your socks everywhere or your dish in the sink or whatever, right? If you keep doing a chore simply because you can't stand looking at the mess, you'll eventually own that chore. And I will add, you're also reinforcing that they leave it because they know you're going to do it eventually. Super annoying, I know, but oh boy, welcome to relationships, right? It won't occur to your partner to say thank you since you're just doing your job. Eek. When you recognize this, you have the tools to fix it. My partner thought I loved picking up his clothes since I always picked them up off the floor and put them away. He was genuinely surprised when I told him I was sick of doing it. My daughter is oblivious to the dishwasher. She thinks dishes move from the sink to the dishwasher and then to the cupboards just overnight by something akin to a sorcerer's apprentice or osmosis. Because I put them away, I just can't bear to see them stack up in the sink. If you do more than your share of housework, here are some solutions. Avoid repeatedly doing a chore that you don't want to get stuck owning. Tell your partner and children when you think a chore should be done instead of waiting for them to reach their own threshold. If you usually do less than your fair share of chores, try to do chores before they become necessary and create a schedule of specific chores and stick to it. To increase your satisfaction and happiness, both partners should remember to express appreciation. Yes, appreciation. Acknowledgement is key for the work that the other one does, even if it's not that important to you. One of the most important things you can give your children is a happy, stable marriage. And I'll add a good example. Although you should not fight in front of them, seeing parents disagree and make up is not damaging as long as you argue in a way that is constructive. Such good advice. When children see others disagree and then resolve it, it allows them to go out in the world with the same skills and not fear disagreements. So true. Love that. One of the reasons teenagers can be so difficult is they argue with their parents on every point. This can be exhausting. However, what helps is to remember that they're learning the debating and negotiating skills that they will need in adulthood, and these skills are essential for their confidence. The only people they can practice on are their parents, and they do need to practice a lot. My daughter is so challenging, but I'm glad she stands up to me and disagrees. The only way our children can assert themselves and confidently say no when pressured into drugs, sex, drinking, etc., is if they've had enough practice and freedom at home in saying no and being heard and respected for their opinion. Tip number 9, getting to the end here, there's only 10. Avoiding exaggerating and generalizations. You may not be aware, but most of us do this. We escalate the negative. Things like, you always, you never, you don't, you won't. When we talk about our loved one's behavior, don't exaggerate things with statements such as, you can't seem to, you are useless, etc. And don't do this to yourself either. Keep it about the now. We're also guilty of negative interpretations. You did that deliberately to hurt me, to wind me up, etc. When you always assume someone is deliberately acting against you, you're thinking the worst of them, which goes against their need to be accepted and not rejected. All right, the grand finale, tip number 10. Don't make your rules more important than your relationship. We have relationship rules, and each person in a relationship brings their own rules, which the partner often does not understand or even know about. For instance, if you believe that when someone insults you, you must walk away and maintain your dignity, and you marry someone who believes you don't walk away in a fight, you're going to fight about your behavior instead of the issue. If your rule is to sleep on the fight problem, whatever, and your partner's is to stay up and resolve it, you're going to have major conflict and even more to fight about. If your rule is to never shout at your partner, and your partner prefers to get it off their chest, you will end up fighting about this instead of the issue you were initially fighting over. If your rule is to be openly affectionate and your partner's is to only show affection in private, if your rule is to do everything together and your partner's is to have time alone, you're going to argue about those two. You must discuss with your partner what their rules are and decide what is more important, your rules or your relationship. We do need relationship rules, but they must be jointly decided. You must work together on important rules. When we're newly in love, we are very yielding, but this does not last. We all know this. We go to a job that has clear rules and boundaries, but come home to rules we don't know, understand, or agree to. You must work together, and at times you must decide who's in charge. Couples need to write these out and even display them prominently. Your soulmate may be nothing like you. Don't try to make your partner be like you. Instead, celebrate the difference. Liking and respecting the other person is more enduring than being in love. Remember, feelings of love come and go. Liking and respecting someone, that's a different ballgame. Meeting your partner's needs is the basis of a relationship. Couples with long-lasting relationship work to avoid these 10 tips. So, yeah, I hope this helps. Meeting your partner's needs. Yeah. And meeting your own, I'll add. And hopefully they're in unison and you find a middle ground to compromise. Because you know what, to me, we hear about compromising, and sometimes we have trouble being motivated to compromise, right? But if you're acting to compromise out of love, because you love this person and you want to get along and you want the relationship to work and you love them and you want them to be happy and you know they compromise with you to meet your needs, that's compromising out of joy and love rather than compromising as a tit for tat or then getting resentful that, I'm compromising for you. And so we have to really be clear, I think, on our actions, what the motivation is, where it's coming from us. Is this action out of love? And is it fulfilling to me to do this? And is it because it's important to me? And making sure that in the compromise, though, you don't compromise yourself, I'll add as a final note. You don't compromise yourself. We all need to retain our own sovereignty, our own needs need to be respected. And there's never an appropriate time to compromise those deep needs that you might have for your own self-respect, for compromising your own needs because someone else doesn't think they're important, so you acquiesce and you don't think they're important. Those are things that aren't valuable compromises. So I hope that helps. Again, that's from Marisa Peer's book, Ultimate Confidence, and 10 tips of things to avoid in a relationship. And I hope to see you next time. Thanks for being with me. Remember, if you want to support the show, you know what to do. Subscribe, share it with somebody, check out her book, and we'll see you next time. Would you like to support my mission to help empower people all over the world to be all of who they truly are? If so, please subscribe to the show, leave a review on iTunes, and share it with a friend. And if you're looking to take immediate action to align your energy and optimize your health, visit amyfournier.com. Thanks for listening to Awakening Aphrodite. Let's awaken her together in you. I'm your hostess, Amy Fournier, and I already can't wait to be with you again and for you to hear what I have planned for the next show.
Thanks for listening to Awakening Aphrodite with Amy Fournier. To learn more about Amy, check out her website, amyfournier.com. That's amyfournier.com. You can also check out Amy's live and on-demand virtual fitness and yoga classes and sign up for her newsletter to receive a free mini ebook of 3 of her top tips for making holistic health a lifestyle. Again, that's amyfournier.com and get your ebook sent to your email immediately. Connect with Amy on the daily on Instagram at FitAmyTV, FITAMYTV, and watch many of the podcast episodes and subtopic clips on her YouTube channel, which is also Fit Amy TV. Enjoy, and we'll see you next time on Awakening Aphrodite.